I didn't wake up one day and decide to ruin my life. It doesn't happen like that. It starts slow, quiet, like a small leak under the floorboards. You don't notice it at first. Then one day, the whole damn room caves in. I was 27, working 2 jobs, barely sleeping. My mom was sick, real sick, and I was the only one left to take care of her. Medical bills piled up faster than I could count. Rent was late, credit cards maxed, phone calls from debt collectors never stopped. Every time the phone rang, my stomach dropped. I kept telling myself, just hang on a little longer. Things will get better. But they didn't. I was drowning. And no one saw it. Then one night, an old friend from high school messaged me, said he had a gig. Quick money, easy, no risk, he said. He was always the smooth talker. Back then, he could get anyone to do anything. At first, I said no. But then, he sent me a screenshot, $10,000, 1 week. He said all I had to do was run a few cards, pick up some packages, act like I didn't see what was really happening. I wish I could say I wrestled with the decision, that I thought about it for days. But the truth, I said yes that night. I was tired of scraping, tired of pretending I was okay. It felt like I had no other choice. First job went smooth, too smooth. They gave me a cut, more than I made in 2 months working legit. I used it to buy meds for mom, paid off the light bill, finally filled our fridge. That money, it felt like a miracle. The second job, then the third. Before I knew it, I wasn't just helping, I was part of it. I learned the tricks fast, which stores flagged which cards, how to keep moving so no one caught on. I told myself I'd stop, right after the next job, then the next, then the next. It's wild how fast you can lose sight of yourself, how you start justifying things you never thought you'd do. Because the truth is, I didn't feel like a criminal. I felt like I was surviving. But survival doesn't keep you safe. One morning, I opened the door to 6 agents in suits, guns drawn, badges in my face, no words, just handcuffs and silence. My mom was in the kitchen. She saw the whole thing. She didn't scream. She didn't ask why. She just sat down like something inside her gave out. That image, her in that chair, eyes glazed, heartbreaking, stays with me more than the mugshot ever will. They booked me on federal fraud charges, multiple counts, and they had everything. Phone records, camera footage, bank transfers. There was no fight to be had. No lawyer could spin that kind of evidence. I didn't even try to lie. When the judge read the sentence, I didn't cry. I just looked down. Because how do you cry when you know you did it to yourself? People always say it was just one bad decision. But that's a lie. It was 100 small ones, 1,000 tiny compromises. It was the moment I answered that message, the moment I said yes, the moment I chose silence over honesty, again and again. And for what? A few months of breathing room, groceries on the table, pills in my mom's cabinet? I told myself I did it for her. But maybe I did it because I didn't want to feel powerless anymore. Because I wanted, just once, to win. But all I got was a cell and a story I'll carry for the rest of my life. They didn't even let me say goodbye. One minute I was sitting in a holding cell, the next they called my name, chains on my ankles, cuffs on my wrists, waist chain like I was some kind of monster. They marched me out like I was invisible, like I didn't matter. The transport van was cold, metal bench, no windows except the tiny square up front. We drove for hours, no talking, no music, just the hum of the road and the sound of cuffs clinking every time I moved. When we pulled up to the facility, my chest tightened. Tall fences, razor wire, grey buildings that looked like they hadn't felt sunlight in years. That place wasn't made for people. It was made for control. The intake room smelled like bleach and old sweat. 2 guards, no smiles, just gloves and orders. Stand here, face the wall, don't speak unless spoken to. They took my fingerprints, photographed me again, like the mugshot wasn't enough. Then came the strip search. Every layer of dignity peeled off. Take off your clothes, lift your breasts, squat and cough. I wanted to disappear. I wanted to scream. But I just stood there, naked under the flickering light, trying not to cry. They handed me my uniform, 2 sizes too big, and some state-issued underwear that felt like sandpaper. No bra, no socks. Then they gave me a thin mat, a scratchy blanket, and pointed down the hall. Unit D, cell 18. Don't make friends. Don't make friends. That line stuck with me. Walking through that hallway, I felt every eye on me. Women leaning against the walls, arms crossed, measuring me. You don't have to speak to say something in here. A look can slice you open. A nod can mean the difference between peace and pain. Cell 18 was dark. No window. Just 2 bunks, 1 toilet, and a vibe that screamed, "Keep your head down." There was someone already on the top bunk. She didn't say anything when I walked in, just looked. Then rolled over, so I laid down, still in shock, still trying to believe this was real. No phone, no door to lock, no mirror. Time moves differently inside. It stretches like taffy that never snaps. The sounds never stop. Metal doors slamming, keys rattling, women yelling from across the tier, and the intercom, always the damn intercom, counts, inspections, lights on, lights off. Stand up, sit down, every move, controlled, watched, recorded. You start to forget you had a name. You're not Maria anymore. You're inmate 817463. That's how they call you. That's who you are now. I didn't sleep that night. How could I? I laid there, eyes open, staring at the ceiling I couldn't touch. I missed my mom. I missed her voice, her hugs. She died before I was sentenced. She never got to visit. Never saw what I became. I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse. There's a moment on your first night inside when the silence screams louder than anything. And you realize you're not going home. Not tomorrow. Not next week. You're just here. You hear other women crying, soft, trying to hide it under their blankets. Some pray, some curse, some just rock back and forth, like maybe if they move enough the world will forget they're here. I remember clutching the blanket so tight. My fingers went numb. I kept thinking, how did I get here? How did everything go so wrong? No one tells you how fast your life can shrink. How you go from the whole world to a 6x8 cell. You miss stupid things. Shampoo that smells nice. Hot water that lasts. Your own toothbrush. You miss choice. That's what prison takes first. Not your time, not even your freedom. It takes your choice. What to eat, when to sleep, whether or not you can hug someone. Everything becomes permission. And if they say no, that's it. You have no say. I used to think prison was about bars and fences, but the real prison? It's the feeling of being unseen, like you've been erased from the world and no one's coming to find you. That first night didn't break me, but it cracked something deep, something I didn't even know was there. And once that crack opened, the rest started pouring out. No one hands you a rulebook when you get to prison, but don't get it twisted. There are rules, unwritten, unspoken, unforgiving, and if you don't learn them fast, you bleed. My second week inside, a girl named Tasha got her face split open in the shower. Why? Because she grabbed the wrong towel. It wasn't about the towel, it was about respect, territory, everything in here, space, time, silence. It all belongs to someone. You don't sit at a table unless you know who owns it. You don't look too long, you don't ask too many questions, and you sure as hell don't talk to the guards unless it's life or death. I learned that the hard way. On my 3rd day, I saw a fight break out in the yard. It was bad. Hair yanked out, fists flying. I panicked, ran to the nearest CO and told him. I thought I was doing the right thing. Next day, my name was written on the wall of the bathroom next to the word snitch. That night, someone dumped mop water on my bunk. Cold, dirty, soaked everything I had. Denise pulled me aside after count. She didn't yell, she didn't judge. She just looked me in the eyes and said, "You want to survive in here? Keep your mouth shut and your head low." I wanted to argue. Say it wasn't fair, that I was trying to help. But then I looked around. No one cared what was fair. This wasn't about justice, it was about survival. Prison has a pecking order. Top dogs run the block. They got girls who move for them. Deliver messages, hold stuff, intimidate. Then there's the ones in the middle. They follow the rules, stay in their lane, try to serve their time and get out clean. And then there's the bottom, newbies, the quiet ones. The ones who break the rules without knowing and pay for it. I spent my first month just watching, learning, memorizing faces, listening to the way people talked, what they said, what they didn't say. There was a rhythm to everything. Who walked where? Who showered when? Who always kept a sock over the doorknob because they were doing business? Even bedtime had a code. Lights off didn't mean peace. That's when whispers started. Deals made. Plans whispered through vent grates and toilet bowls. Yeah, we talked through toilets. You flush once, wait for silence, then speak into the bowl. Sounds crazy, right? But when letters get blocked, visits denied, you find ways to reach out. The toilets became our phones. One night I heard a girl sobbing through the pipes. Didn't know who she was, didn't matter, I just listened. Sometimes that's all someone needs. That same week, a guard dragged a girl out by her arm, said she was disrespectful. All she did was not get up fast enough during count. We all saw it. No one said a word, because speaking up means you disappear too. That silence, it's heavy. It settles in your bones. You stop expecting kindness, start bracing for impact. And somewhere in all that, you change. I saw women turn cold, hard, saw mothers forget how to speak gently, saw girls who came in soft turn sharp just to stay alive. And I got it. I really did. Because prison doesn't just lock your body. It rewires your brain. You learn how to read danger in the smallest things, I laugh. A glance too long, a smile that doesn't reach the eyes, someone brushing past you twice in the hallway. Everything means something. I started sleeping with one eye open. Tucked my shoes under the mattress, kept my toothbrush in my pillowcase, not because someone might take them, but because taking is a way of saying, I can. Every small act is a message. You show weakness once, they remember. But in the middle of all that, there were moments, tiny ones, that reminded me I was still human. Like when one of the older women gave me a honey bun after I missed chow. No words, just slid it across the table. Or when Denise let me use her pen to write my mum a letter I'd never send. Those little things, they were gold in here. They didn't erase the pain, but they reminded me I wasn't alone, not entirely. Prison has rules, but it also has stories, people. And not all of us were monsters. Some of us just made one mistake too many. And now we live in a world where silence keeps you safe and kindness is a gamble. There's a moment in prison when the silence doesn't just surround you, it swallows you whole. Mine came 3 months in. It was a Thursday. I remember because Thursdays were laundry days, the only time we saw colour, a few faded blues and oranges tumbling in a broken machine. That morning started like any other. Cold, grey, heavy. I didn't know that by the end of the day I'd be ready to end it all. It started with a letter from my sister, or what used to be my sister. She'd written just 4 lines. We're done. Stop writing. You chose your path. Now live with it. I read it once, then again. Each word hit like a punch to the gut. My hands shook, my throat tightened, but I didn't cry. Not yet. I folded the letter real small, tucked it under my mattress, then sat on the cold floor of the cell, back against the wall, and stared. At nothing, no sound, just my own breath getting faster and faster. I don't know how long I sat like that. Time didn't mean much anymore. Denise wasn't around that day. She was in med hold, dealing with her blood pressure again. So it was just me and the hole inside my chest that wouldn't stop growing. The thing about prison is it doesn't just lock the door on you, it locks the door on hope. I started thinking about my mom, how I'd never get to tell her the truth, how I let her down, how I let everyone down. I felt like a ghost, like I was already dead, just waiting for my body to catch up. That night I skipped dinner, didn't talk, didn't move, just laid on my bunk, staring at the metal ceiling, counting the rust spots like maybe if I got to 100 the ache would go away. It didn't, and somewhere deep in that pain, a thought crept in. What if I just stopped? Stopped breathing, stopped existing, stopped hurting. I knew where the stash was. Someone always had something. Pills, strips, things they smuggled in. It wouldn't be hard. One word to the right person, one trade. And I'd drift off, quiet, no drama, no tears, just gone. I was halfway to doing it, halfway to asking. But then, right before lights out, someone slid something under my door, a folded napkin. I opened it. Inside was a single peanut butter cookie and a note. Bad days don't last forever. Denise, she'd heard, or maybe she just knew, she always knew, that cookie broke me. Not because it was sweet, but because it reminded me I still mattered. To someone, I sat on my bunk, hands shaking, crumbs falling in my lap, and cried for the first time since arriving. Not the silent kind, not the careful kind. The real, ugly, soul-breaking cry that shakes your whole body. And when it was over, I felt lighter. Not fixed, not healed, just lighter. Denise came back the next day, didn't say a word, just gave me a nod. I nodded back. That was enough. That's how it works in here. You don't always say the big things. Sometimes survival lives in small moments. A cookie, a look, a note written on a napkin. That night, I didn't think about dying. I thought about Denise, about the note, about the fact that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't broken beyond repair. The system didn't save me. The programs, the rules, the guards, They didn't reach me. They didn't even see me. But Denise did. One woman, one gesture. That's what turned me around. They say you have to hit rock bottom to climb up. Maybe that's true. All I know is that cookie saved my life. And I've never looked at peanut butter the same way since. They called my name over the speaker like it was any other day. But I knew. Release day. I stood there in the middle of my cell, hands trembling, trying to believe it was real. You dream about that moment. But no one tells you how it actually feels. It's not joy, not exactly. It's complicated. I packed what little I had. Some letters, a few pictures, a worn-out paperback I'd read 5 times. They gave me back the clothes I wore when I came in. Didn't even fit right anymore. Too loose in the waist, too tight in the arms. Time does that to a body, to a soul. I walked down the hallway one last time, each step echoing louder than the last. No one said goodbye. No hugs, no tears, just nods, quiet glances. That's how we say take care on the inside. The CO at the front desk handed me a clear plastic bag. ID, bus ticket, $58.17. That's what freedom looks like, I guess. They opened the gate. It buzzed like always, that cold, metal sound. But this time, it opened for me. I stepped outside. No walls, no fences, just sky. So much sky. It almost hurt to look at. I thought I'd run, scream, fall to my knees. But I just stood there, frozen because no one was waiting. No arms, no voices calling my name, just the wind and a bus idling at the curb. I climbed on, sat by the window, watched the prison shrink in the distance, and still, I didn't feel free. The world moved fast out here, too fast. People on their phones, music blaring, kids laughing, and me. Sitting there with a heart full of cracks and a mind still stuck behind bars. I kept thinking, how do you start over when you're still carrying everything you did? I had nowhere to go. No job, no phone, no plan. Halfway House gave me a bed, 4 other women in one room, rules, curfew, mandatory meetings. It felt familiar, too familiar. Some of the girls were fresh out like me. Some had been back 3-4 times. They called it doing the loop. Get out. Mess up, come back. I told myself I wouldn't be one of them. I couldn't be. But saying that and living it, 2 different things. Every job I applied for, they saw the record. Fraud, felony, sorry, not qualified. Doors kept slamming, again and again. Some nights I sat on the edge of that bunk wondering if I even deserved a second chance. But then I remembered Denise. She used to say, you get clean inside before you ever get clean out here. So I started small. Helped clean the kitchen even when it wasn't my turn, sat through group sessions and actually listened, told my story without trying to make it sound better than it was. That was the hardest part, owning it, all of it. Not blaming the system, not blaming my past, just looking in the mirror and not looking away. I signed up for a GED class, scared out of my mind. The first time I wrote an essay, my hands shook so bad I could barely hold the pen, but I kept going. And when I passed that test, I cried in the bathroom for 10 straight minutes. Not because of the paper, but because it was the first time in years I finished something that mattered. I still mess up, still flinch when I hear keys behind me, still sleep light, some scars stay even when the bars are gone. But now I look people in the eye. I say my name without shame choking me. I'm not just what I did, I'm who I'm becoming. And yeah, I carry the past with me. But I carry it differently now, not like a weight, but like a reminder that I made it out, that I chose to change, and that real freedom isn't about walking out the gate, it's about walking forward when no one thinks you can, and doing it anyway, one step, one breath, one honest day at a time.